Comrades, as you remember, a little while ago I made a video about the minimum wage being raised. The Fair Minimum Wage Act would put it up to $10.10 an hour. And I had some pretty, I think, fair criticisms of the policy. Now, I did want to go back and just discuss a few things that I didn't put in that video that I really should have. Some things that I should have talked about when I had the opportunity. Now, it is true that it would lift like millions of people out of poverty. And by that, you'd have a very loose definition of what poverty is. Like, it would do that. It would increase wages. But I did give the example where this is still the capitalist system, and the bourgeois will still come up with something to push back. After all, it is their system, and they will always win no matter what. An important thing to keep in mind here is that an increase in the minimum wage would increase the prices of basic everyday commodities. Now, I'm not going to give a conservative argument that like all the companies are now going to charge more money. I mean, they will, in addition to increasing the rate of exploitation. But the primary cause for the corresponding raise in the prices of commodities is basic supply and demand. If people have more money, and now they are out spending that money, buying those things, the regular day-to-day, everyday items that we would normally buy, you've now just sharply increased demand. And when you do that, the price goes up because supply and demand. So that is another effect that will happen as a result. This is referred to inflation, although commonly inflation is understood as expanding the money supply, therefore evil Federal Reserve. No. Inflation means a general rise in the cost of various commodities. And when you have more people spending money on those commodities because they have them, then you do raise the demand, thus raising the price. Whatever changes you make in an organic system that is capitalism, it will have effect on other areas, other causes and effects, creating all kinds of changes within that system. But this is something that people just keep forgetting about. Now, all those people who now went out and bought all those commodities that raised the demand, that raised the price, are now having difficulty affording those things again because the price went up. That's why they want the minimum wage pegged to the rate of inflation, meaning as the cost of living goes up and wages go up because increased demand and all the other factors that go into that, you essentially have a repeating cycle of rising costs, which means no matter what it is that you set it at, it's going to keep coming back to the same thing. You're going to need to keep raising the minimum wage in order to keep up that demand for goods. And that demand for goods is going to raise the cost. In other words, cycling all over again. This is, again, one of those contradictions of capitalism, one of those reasons why we have to transition to an entire new society, because capitalism, in the end, can't actually deal with this problem. Another major effect that is bound to happen is the capitalist is going to have to raise the rate of exploitation. Now, he's not just going to do that on the regular, first world worker. He's going to do it on the third world worker as well. Meaning, as the rate of exploitation gets higher on that third world worker who has even less choice and less freedom, etc., that value that he creates, that third world worker, is going to transfer to the first world, to that worker in the first world who just got a raise. Meaning, another side effect of raising the minimum wage is the increased exploitation of the third world worker for the benefit of the first world worker. And this is a big part of third worldist theory. And again, this is another one of those contradictions of capitalism, meaning there is now a struggle between the first world worker and the third world worker. We benefit when third world workers are exploited even harder. Again, this is another reason why the whole system has to be abolished out. Capitalism is filled with all kinds of contradictions in the organic system that it is. And this is an important point that a lot of people of the bourgeois economic mindset are forgetting. They see it as a mechanical process. A, B, that's it. They don't see how certain things affect other things and causes become effects and how everything is related in an organic process. Now, they don't see these things when they consider an economic policy. And that's something we all have to keep in mind, us as Marxists, when we do look at an economic event such as raising the minimum wage. We have to keep this in mind and look for the total effects that it would have, not just domestically, but globally as well. Thank you for watching. Go ahead, rate, comment, subscribe, share on various social media. And if you want, there's some other great content here you could check out.